Hey, John Gilroy here. A famous astronaut once said, "To infinity and beyond." Today, we talk AI and go beyond the state of the art. Hit the music, Manny. Welcome to the Federal Tech Podcast, the podcast that connects you to federal technology leaders. My name is John Gilroy, and I will be your moderator. Our guest today is Adam Lurie, CEO of a company called Knexus, Knexus. I went to your website. It says beyond the state of the art. So we got to open up with beyond, Adam. So you're taking AI to the next level, huh?
That's right. The Knexus was founded originally with this concept that high-end research and innovation needed to be integrated with engineering. You had to sort of bring capability to life. And so everything the company has done over the last 20 years has been focused on pushing the state of the art and pushing boundaries.
And you've been around since 2006. I've never heard of you folks. I mean, it sounds like you got a bunch of brainiacs sitting in a room and impressing people with their brains and not telling the story what they do.
Well, that's right. The company has been around for almost 20 years, working almost exclusively with the US government and working on AI problems and AI solutions long before AI was cool. And a couple of years ago, we went and sort of had a Nexus 2.0 strategy where we said, look, this AI thing is really going to pop. Let's go out to the market. Let's rebrand. Let's remessage. Let's start telling the world what we're doing today, but not just that, what we've done over the last 20 years so people can really start to see the great work that's been done by the people at Knexus.
And speaking of the great work, I have a friend, master's degree in physics, brainiac, and he's got one patent, and he'd rather get a root canal than do that again. You guys got like 5 patents with AI. I mean, this is not easy stuff. This is a challenge.
Well, that's right. I mean, a lot of this really goes down to the original founder, Dr. Kalyan Gupta, who really created an unbelievable culture within the business to push his people towards that, beyond the state of the art mantra. He when I joined the company a couple of years ago, it was the type of thing that we knew was sort of a perfect match culturally because we just fit the way that his brain constantly worked in the science and technology, and I was able to communicate that to the market.
Adam, let's start at 40,000 feet, and then we'll drill down to something more specific. So at 40,000 feet, looking down at artificial intelligence, here's my new standard question. It's a speeding ticket question. And I heard this at an event. It was really a good one. So it's something like this. This is like a federal leader, let's say. And he said, it comes to artificial intelligence, if you go too fast, you get a speeding ticket. If you go too slow, you get a parking ticket. So Adam, how do you know how fast to go and change to artificial intelligence? What guardrails should be put up?
Yeah, so I'll start with a different question that I think most people are not asking. You hear this conversation left and right at every agency, at every organization where people raise their hands and say, I want AI. Then we turn around and say, well, what do you want AI to do for you? What is your problem? And that is really the fundamental question here. There are models, there are capabilities that can answer a lot of different problems and questions. But if you're just sitting there going, I want to deploy AI without trying to get some sort of a benefit from it, then it's pointless and it's worthless. So to get back to your question, how do you create guardrails? Well, I'm going to turn around and say, well, what are the guardrails in your processes today? How are we attempting to use those traditional guardrails in any type of government process? And those are the types of guardrails that we still want to put in our process and systems, just incorporating new technology, new models, new capabilities.
I think that's a better question. I mean, it's like, so maybe you don't need a paintbrush. So why should you go to the store and get the best paintbrush? And
right.
You're not in a position where you have to paint anything. It's like, yeah, but I got this new paintbrush. So what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take a look at, wise man once said, you start with the end in mind and move from there. And I think that's really important. Let's, as I said, we'll go from 40,000 feet down to maybe ground level here. And this is a problem that many agencies have, and we can talk about this for hours, but supply chain management, A couple years back, I was out in L.A. on a boat in Long Beach. And I saw these ships with these containers stacked up. That was a supply chain problem, wasn't it? But I think today's supply chains may be even more difficult and challenging than that. So can we apply AI to supply chain?
Absolutely. And I think, supply chain and logistics has, been a problem. This is not a new problem. This is something everybody has been trying to solve for decades. But what we have now is an ability to leverage new AI models to create strength and resilience and optimization in global supply chains. What we saw a few years ago during the COVID crisis, um, global supply chains exploded. Overnight, people were unable to get goods and services and products that people were, just used to. And so when that happened, it really put a spotlight just on the fact that everything consumers and people are dependent on is part of this global supply chain. And when that becomes disrupted, due to any means or any risk factor or any variable, now all of a sudden it creates a tremendous impact. Supply chain resiliency and optimization really becomes the type of capability and type of problem set that we love looking for. It's a hard problem. We love looking to address that at Knexus. And we see that impacting so many different organizations and government capabilities, really around the globe.
Right. It's everyone from medical equipment to toner it applies in so many different areas, and how to optimize that problem. It almost seems like a dream problem for artificial intelligence. Now we're going to talk about humans and human intelligence. I don't always quote Gartner, but I'll throw in a Gartner every now and then. So Gartner quote is that 90% of enterprise software engineers are expected to use AI as assistants by 2028. So 90%. Reduce staff, improve impact. What about your staff? What about AI for your problems? So where do you fit in with that quote?
Yes, and yes. AI capabilities will reduce the need for manpower labor in certain functions. It will also improve efficiency and quality in certain functions. When Knexus early in 2025, and we sort of laid out our goals, we're an AI company. We turned around and said, you know what? We're delivering these capabilities to our customers. We need to inject it in every one of our back office processes in our software development process, because that is going to be who wins the day in terms of solution providers down the road. And so we've spent a considerable amount of time and energy building internal tools and internal solutions that we can leverage, specifically in our software development process, but along with our back office processes as well. When we look for software tools to do things like finance and recruiting, your traditional back office products, we want to make sure there are AI models built into it.
Good. I am no brainiac. I am a humble podcaster, but I'm trying to apply AI to this podcasting. So every morning I get up at 4:30 and I go after it. And I ran out of chats this morning on ChatGPT, and usually most days I run out. What I found is that I've heard about hallucinations. I start seeing them, and it happens. And so where does hallucinations fit in with supply chain? Is this a different category of AI, or this is not even worth considering within this discussion?
No, it's absolutely worth considering. And hallucination is it's still a challenge that I think a lot of people are trying to solve. We put guardrails in the solutions that we're building. Different use cases will allow for different boundaries in terms of the probability that there could be more hallucination versus less. A lot of this comes into the overall analytics that you're trying to build into your solution. And so when you think about supply chain and sort of supply chain processes, there are a couple of key components to creating a great supply chain risk solution. Hallucinations is just a component of the analytics and AI that's built into the overall solution. You still need data, you still need services, you still need the processes to be able to get to optimization and outcomes. And so I sort of look at that as the fully fully aggregated solution.
So here's how I use AI, true confessions.
Okay.
Ran out of chat, so I went to perplexity.ai and I typed in, what does Knexus do for the federal government?
Oh,
And
great.
I got a long list. And one of them is synthetic data. And I kind of think it's a clever idea. So how do you apply synthetic data to solve federal problems?
Yeah, so actually this started where we worked with the U.S. Census, where U.S. Census data is actually protected. You have to be a sworn census officer and actually to see
Ooh.
census data. But census data is used specifically for research analysis to build AI models. The goal of the census is to inform decision making, but you need to be able to do that in a privacy protected fashion. And so what we first did for the census and have expanded this out is actually built mathematical models and algorithms that can create synthetic data sets of large populations that mirror the traits of that source data set. And so fundamentally, if you have a data set of 300 million people, you don't actually care around the data related to Adam Lurie. You care about those features and how those features interact with all the other features within the large data set. And so our synthetic data solutions are allowing agencies and organizations to build AI models while protecting privacy of the people whose data that's being in that source data.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see AI being applied to digital transformation when it comes to legacy systems in the federal government. And kind of good news and bad news, the people who maintain the legacy system says, we've perfected it. It works great. And then other people are going, well, it may work great, but it's costing $1 million a year in maintenance. And so we got this push and pull. And so I would think that you could take synthetic or some kind of data and try to project out a transition scenario. Huh? I mean, I think this would be an application for your group of brainiacs there.
So think of think of how fast the government is trying to build risk models, whether that's in a security environment, whether that's in a benefits environment. You're constantly trying to use that data to mitigate fraud, waste, and abuse, determine who might be at risk for something. And so when somebody comes to a government agency with a new model or a new capability and says, I would love to test this out, well, the government's typical response is, all right, it's going to take us a year to give you the data, to test it.
Whoa.
We have to get you approved. However, if the government had a synthetic data set that was, because it's not real data, but mirrored the features of the real data set, now all of a sudden the government can turn around to these to new capabilities and say, great, here you go, test it out. You got 30 days to show us that your model is better than everything that we have. And so you can have this fast, rapid iteration. And to me, that is a huge capability to essentially allow the US to win the AI war and the AI battle, because that is what we are in right now.
I flashed back in graduate school. I had a friend who was studying history of science during a PhD, and his hobby was learning how to fly. He learned how to fly a Cessna. And, single engine, double engine, night flying, everything else. And today they have simulators. And so, Adam, we can put you in a simulator that is going to emulate the pitch, the move, the yaw, everything, the screens and everything, and you'll be pretty close to having that similar experience without crashing the plane. Mm-hmm. I thought of that parallel there. So that's the synthetic data approach. It's like, hey, we'll train you like a pilot, and once you get comfortable with that, it'll be close enough that you can make that transition so much easier when you go to the real plane. And that was very difficult many years ago to learn. You had to maybe make some mistakes, but now synthetic gives you so much more flexibility, doesn't it?
And the closer that synthetic data is to real data,
yes,
the closer the experience, the models, the outcomes will be. And so, you can train on fake data. We actually spent a lot of time at Knexus talking about this nuanced difference between synthetic and simulated data. And to
Ooh,
us,
there's a debate.
yeah, I mean, this look, you get some smart people in a room, and
I know they're going to do that.
this will go on for hours. But simulated data it's just fake. It has the same features, but there's no correlation in the properties of that data to any sort of real population. So
Mhm.
sure, you can build on it, you can train on it, but if it's not real, if it doesn't mirror doesn't mirror the traits of the source data, then your outcomes are going to be different or wrong or incorrect or less valid. So, we spend a lot of time talking about how synthetic data, because it mirrors the properties, the outcomes, the analysis, the models will be that much better because of that.
Yeah, and I think that that's really the trick is to have it close enough that you're not going to have any problems. I told you I'm a podcaster. I listen to podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts is called Feds at the Edge, and well, it's changed in 5 or 7 years ago. Now everything's at the edge. Sensors everywhere. Sensors in space.
That's right.
Sensors and I don't hospitals. How many sensors are in a given hospital? And so what happens is you get deluged with data. And
That's
so
right.
we got Adam. He puts together his little synthetic data at noon, and then he goes home, and it's changed. So Adam just beats his head against the wall, or cries himself to sleep, or get up by the next morning, and you go, well, Adam, that was a great job you did. Do it again. So how do you adjust for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be changes, and there's always going to be, an organization who leverages the capability is going to have to understand that they're going to have to iterate over time. Knexus prides ourselves on being fast and on being rapid and on showing capability and showing how AI models work before we start building sexy front ends or graphics or pictures. We want customers on the other side to have a level of comfort with the high-end technical solutions and models and data. And once they have that comfort, then the next step is very clearly, all right, how will the end users actually use it in their workflow, in their job? If they can't figure out how to use it in their day to day, again, getting back to the sort of early part of our discussion, it's pointless. And so, we are constantly looking at solutions and rapid capabilities with the end in mind, because that is the whole point of all of this.
I've been told that if you go to cities like Austin and maybe LA, you see a lot of autonomous vehicles, huh?
Mhm.
Waymos and everything else. And it gets me a little jumpy, The word autonomous, I don't know, but I think with the deluge of data that we have now, some of that just ingestion, absorbing that has to be automated. Then we move into the whole area of automating some decisions that can be different. I just get real jumpy around even talking about it. It's like, well, I'll take the manual transmission. Okay, Adam.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that really because I guess it takes 100 years now for the automatic transition to prove themselves. You don't have to worry about that. But what about autonomous decisions in AI? Where do you put the human in, and can you even put the human in with this deluge of information?
I mean, you certainly can, but this is one of those conversations, that goes into Skynet territory, and where does the human, have that decision making ability and authority? My belief is that while autonomous systems have incredible power and are going to be the future of warfighting, there is still a human tasking them. There's still a person who is sort of aggregating information and saying, yes, I am the individual who's going to take responsibility for the autonomous solution to go out and execute. And sort of creating that line is really important. So we don't have kind of the drones, rising up. It is important that first decision, that tactical decision, really does come from a human.
Yeah, and I think that's a key in understanding all this. You have a strange spelling name for your company. If you want to get more information on your company, it's KNEXUS.ai for more information. So, Adam, what kind of companies do you like to partner with in solving
Yeah.
problems for the government?
So Nexus has awesome people who are great at building AI models and injecting those into government problems. So what does that mean? We need to partner with high-end data companies, scalable and secure tech platforms. So, as an example, early in 2024, Knexus made the decision to focus on the Google AI tech stack. So we've become experts in the Google technology stack, and we're actually named as one of the Google Cloud Partners of the Year in 2025
Wow.
for business applications in government. It's a long one, but so we got really really good at understanding that look, Google it's commercial grade tech, it's secure, it's scalable, and that's the type of solution that we believe the government should be taking advantage of. So when that becomes the foundation for a solution, and then we can augment that with innovative data, like that's coming from Babel Street or Wirescreen and Dun and Bradstreet, some of our partners on the GSA Scripps contract. Those are the types of things that we love because now we've got tons of data, we've got
Yeah.
compute power, and our technologists and scientists get to go to town on building, great models and great
Yeah.
solutions for the government.
Last year at the Google Public Sector Summit, I recorded from a balcony at Ron Reagan Center. So if
Yep.
they have that again this year, we'll grab you and look
I
on the
will find
balcony
you.
here.
Yeah.
And it's a real nice, it's a very, very pleasant place to be. I don't know, there's a very tech-friendly environment at the Ron Reagan Center. It's pretty good. It's really fun. Well, unfortunately, here we are running out of time, and you have been listening to the Federal Tech Podcast with John Gilroy. I'd like to thank my guest, Adam Lurie, CEO of Knexus, KNEXUS.